Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.organissima.com. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our...
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, the Fit and the Fab channel, iHealth Radio, with your host, Hurricane H. New day, new show, new topic. Today, we're going to go into the world of innovation and healing in a world really of quantum physics or quantum engineering. And you're probably like, wow, this sounds a little deep. Well, it would be deep. And I have a guest that's going to really take us deep in a whole different world of energy, frequency, and teach us new ways of how to heal our bodies. And also talk to us about maybe how potentially even make money out of this thing. So there's a lot of stuff, and there's someone that can do this not only for humans and also for animals, and it's a whole new way of non-traditional healing, I would say. And I'll leave it at that, and we'll get our expert to tell us more about it. So he is actually a doctor in chiropractic medicine. He uses hypnotherapy and a lot of stuff. It's really mind, body, spirit, the whole 9 yards. So with me today, Dr. T, all the way from Nicaragua. Yes, I said it, So again, we get around the world, in this particular show, and that's great. It's always good to have new guests and from different parts of the world. Although he is from the US, he's just, I guess, snowbird in there. So Dr. T, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am great. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. You sound like you're from Nicaragua. You pronounce it perfectly.
Nicaragua.
Sí.
Hablamos español también, eh?
Bueno.
Yeah, but we gotta go English. All right.
Yeah, please.
All right. Well, listen, first things first, please give us, I did a little brief introduction, but again, you will do better justice than me. So let's go about, who you are, your background, and your just story, how you got into this world of unique healing, and maybe we can talk about the traditional chiropractic world and how you kind of leaped into an innovative way and found a whole different way to actually heal people remotely. Actually, your expertise is remote healing, and I'd like to hear about that as well. And I think audiences will be like completely, interested in learning that part as well.
Well, thank you. It all started when I found a book at a yard sale on the way home from a doctor many years ago, 25 years ago. I had a broken bone. The hardest bone in the body to heal is a navicular bone. And the doctor says, well, we got 10 more days. And then if this doesn't heal, we're going to have to do a pretty major surgery. We're going to cut a bone off your hip and put it in there and plug in a transplanted a vein and blah, 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 and did this and this and all these, things to fix this bone that wasn't healing. And on my way home from the doctors, I stopped at a yard sale. I saw a lamp out front. I thought, man, that lamp might work in my living room. And as I was leaving, I looked down and there was a box of books, and one of them said, Heal Yourself with Hypnosis. And it was by two women. And so I took that book home and I made a cassette back when cassettes were the new thing. And I listened to it. And 10 days later, I went in and it was 100% healed. And that started my whole healing journey. My father was a chiropractor, so I am classically trained. And I've just found there's different ways of doing things. And so while I find traditional chiropractic still very beneficial, I've just kind of gone down the road of energy more so than most chiropractors.
No, I was just gonna say, thank you for that quick intro. But I do want eventually to get into, maybe if you can define a little bit of the chiropractic traditional one, just for audiences, how it actually operates. The reason I'm saying, because that is a physical aspect. You have to manipulate things, physically, and you have to be hands-on. And you really, went the other way around. There's no hands-on in this one. It's all remote, or mostly remote, I think.
Yeah, so that's true. Unless you're in front of me. If you're in front of me, I use a lot of different techniques, but the chiropractic adjustment itself is unique to the chiropractic profession, and it's to realign the vertebra of subluxed bones. So for me, I just don't find that happens as much as other chiropractors. I find that you can use different methods and different modalities to get the bones to move on their own. So I'm not really a great person to talk a lot about chiropractic itself, other than I got into it because I love the philosophy, that there's something within us that when it gets unblocked, it heals. It heals us, and that's how we. Chiropractic focuses mainly on the adjustment to unleash that innate healing, and it's very, very powerful. It works very well. I have a chiropractor. I see a few of them, different ones, when I'm hurt or when I feel like it. but for me, I'm more of looking for different ways to unlock that innate healing, whether it's emotion, whether it's spiritual, or physical. And physical for me, the remote work I do is it's mostly for disease. I mean, I don't get a lot of people call me for pain cases anymore. I mean, it's mostly disease. People having different things, whether it's digestion, circulation, mental, emotional. My primary thing is not. I mean, I work with pain. I do. I still do a lot of pain cases because you never know what's going to be the cause. Mm-hmm. But I tend to work more with disease processes, with the kind of energy work that I do.
Wow. You just giving me a little bit of a wide imagination right now to think about a few things here. But so amazingly, so you've gone into this world through an injury yourself that it was almost devastating when you hear somebody's telling you, we're going to cut a bone from your body and replace another one and do all this stuff. I mean, that had to be scary.
Well, that started the mind part of my study, so I went and studied hypnosis after that. So it really kind of opened my eyes, like, holy, I couldn't believe it. 10 days. I mean, I'd gone like 4 months with this bone on healing. And then in 10 days, it completely healed because my mind was doing the process of, I listened to that cassette tape every day. I was scared to death, and that's what really kind of got me going down the direction I took. As chiropractic is very rigid study of physical things, mm-hmm. but I already had that hypnosis training when I got there. So I kind of just looked for more things that were a little more eccentric and a little further out, for lack of a better word, to do the same thing that chiropractic does. And the philosophy, again, of chiropractic, there's some brilliant minds in chiropractic. These guys are coming up with great healing modalities and lots of different ways of helping people heal. I just kind of, again, went towards the energy side, the quantum mechanics side. And so that's just the idea that, that we're all connected. And you have this happen, I'm sure, all the time. You think of somebody and they call you, hey, I was just thinking of you. Yeah, I was just thinking of you too. And then you'll have somebody will say, hey, guess who I saw the other day? I remember that guy from school from 30 years ago who we all forgot about. And it was in your mind a few days before. And that's consciousness. And so consciousness operates through the act of observation. So when we look at something, we're like mini creators. So if we look at something, we are collapsing all that quantum potential into mass, for lack of a better word. So your table isn't solid, even though it looks like it's solid. It's a whole bunch of quanta that's been put together, and it's held together because we can see it and we can look at it. So we talked, before we started this, we talked a little bit about the remote work. That's how I'm able to do this stuff remotely. So I know how your liver works. I know how your circulation works. I know all the nerves in your body. I'm a doctor, and so I'm able to look at these things, and I've figured out a method of testing remotely where it helps guide me to where the actual problem is. And then when I look at that problem, that's when we use that's when I can use different methods of telling your mind how to fix it. Basically, for lack of a better explanation, I can tell your mind how to fix it.
So is that a therapeutic connection? Is that a hypnotic aspect of it? I mean, listen. I want to go back. I want to retract back because the word quantum is a very deep world. I mean, quantum physics is the next generation of physics. It's the space matter, everything in one place. It's all multidimensional, multiverse, all that kind of thing. So it's energies that we sometimes don't even realize exist around us. And I've studied a lot of stuff as well, a lot of books about these things. It's very interesting. And we always tend to forget that, we always look at the world as we see it in material world, in a physical, tangible, but there's more to this world than actually the tangible. We do know clearly about the fact that there is, well, most people believe in the soul and believe in other creation and, energy, beings and things like that. And so that's all tied into the real world. You're right. You think of something, somebody else, is almost like sometimes you think of something, someone next to you will say the same thing. I've seen that happen. It happens all the time. You think of something and it manifests. Like I had this discussion with a nice, a friend and a good guest on one of the shows where we talked about something, and it's something that he thought about the day before, and it was just like amazing, like how that even, connected. But I wasn't with him, he wasn't with me, and we did that. So there's some stuff that sometimes most of us cannot even explain. It's there, we see it, we don't even sometimes explain it because we just think it happened and we're not sure why and how. But it is there. So the world of, to your point, mind, body, spirit, all this stuff is happening in real time. And you talked about the table being physical material, but again, we know in physics this is all a bunch of electrons, protons, and ions, and and quarks, and all that stuff floating around. And there's a lot of space that's in between those things. And technically, it's 99% empty, not full. And there's all that. And there's the argument between physics and science. We can go there. I mean, that's so the reason I'm saying this because the word quantum does drive people sometimes like, are these guys lunatics? I mean, what the hell? But in real physics and real science, it's real. And this is the part where you can really bend time. This is when we talk about dilatation of time, for example. And if you travel light speed and all these things happen, the shortest distance between two places is not really, you can go through a wormhole, whatever we can do. We can go to space right now in this particular journey. But you're right, this is the real stuff that we do not connect to. But my question is, like, you found this stuff and you're using it to healing. And that's really the intriguing part about this, because most of people don't even comprehend this or can grasp, the concept of quantum. I mean, you're talking about top physicists and things like that understand this world. And you have taken it from one end of the physical world of chiropractic and medicine, and then you convert it into this deep connection with something beyond it. It's really beyond the matter. So let's give us a little bit of your, I guess I try to define it my way, but if you can give us just an easy way on your end, based on your understanding of what this quantum world looks like and how you connected the frequencies in it, all these things. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's funny because I was with a friend and he has this headset that is out there now that actually connect. You don't put in your ears and it's outside, but it conducts, vibration and frequency, and you can hear through it without even being in your ears.
Awesome.
It actually sends sound through the bones vibration, and that's how you conduct the sound and you comprehend it. So there's a lot of stuff out there that most of us, either we don't know about it or it's really scary to even think about. And some people can say that's taboo. Let's not talk. Let's not go there. So it's amazing. And so let's break that down for us. Your quantum engineering, your quantum formula, especially remote.
Well, you have a really good understanding of it all. I don't think I'm going to teach you anything.
Well, this is not about me. I think it's more about, our audiences. I mean, I do some research and I believe in some of these concepts personally. Yeah. And a lot of people do tend to see it, understand it exists. They just don't know how it operates. And frankly, I don't either.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I do in my class is I teach you the fundamental, like I really take all that stuff you just talked about and I put it into 4 hours of lecture. And then from the lecture after 4 hours, then we're able to start doing it right away. New people who have never done any healing at all, they're able to start applying it, because once you have the understanding of how it actually works, then your power of observation is magnified 1,000,000 times. And so, and then once they see it, people who have never done it before, once they see it in class, it's like, wait a minute, I just did that. Are you sure it's gone? I mean, everybody has the same response. It's amazing. The person will stand up, I'll find somebody who has a, bad ankle, say 20-year bad ankle, and I'll have somebody else across the room fix it. And I'll say, okay, just stand up and walk around, see how that feels. And they'll be like, It's completely gone. And everyone says the same thing. Really? That's impossible.
Well,
There's
Doctor,
like, really? Really? I'm like, uh-huh. And so once they see it, once you see it a couple times and everybody sees it, you can't deny it. You see somebody hobble in and limping, and then they get up and they're jumping up and down on it. Within 15, 20 seconds, it kind of shatters you kind of get on board really fast. And that's one of my sayings, is seeing is believing, because the more people who can see it, especially in my training, I want to train a million people how to do this stuff. I mean, the people I've already trained, I don't see them in my office anymore. They're healing themselves. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. It's pretty amazing. And the other piece that you and I haven't even scratched yet is the angelic realm.
okay.
Angels.
Well, let's hold that. We do want to, and that opens a whole different kind of worms, because of we're getting, that's where the taboo comes, right?
Yeah, that's where people have a problem. People have a problem with it, even though everybody believes in them and everyone's had an angelic experience. People have a problem with them, I'm too old now. I'm too old now where I don't give a shit anymore. People are like, what do you do? I said, I talk to angels. I have them come and do work. Really? Yeah, that's what I do.
Well, listen, I do want to talk about that, and I do want to have your perspective on it. And again, I do want to preface that for the folks. I mean, folks, there are different things that are happening around the world, and we don't have to accept everything. We don't have to agree with everything, but we certainly would like to learn about everything and see different angles. And who knows, we might tend to believe in something, or maybe stop believing in something, or even just understanding how things work around us would be a good thing. So I don't want you to dismiss the idea. And so we'll get there, and we're going to scratch. That's not even scratching. We're going to, really get into it. We're going to dive in. We're going to put a hole in that one. We're going to poke it. But at the end of the day, really, we want to transit to the different concept. And you're right. The idea of ability to heal someone that is limping or really in bad pain, that is real. I've seen it actually through hypnotherapy. I've attended a couple of sessions, with massive, groups where people were literally not disabled, but they had, pain. They were in wheelchairs. And they're real. This was not, like a stage type of situations. They were complete strangers that were asked to come on. 5 minutes later, through hypnotherapy, they were able to actually stand with no pain. Now, I've seen that happen, and that's amazing. The subconscious and everything else. So but believe it or not, it's funny because I think that I've been stating this for the last couple of shows, but about a month ago, I did actually a live hypnosis, on the show with a hypnotherapist, and it was an amazing, session. I actually benefited from it. I hope somebody else did, but the fact of the matter is it's real. And I was skeptical about hypnotherapy myself. For years. I was like, what is this? It's a gimmick, all that good stuff, right? But then one day I was exposed to it through work, and we had a session, and I enjoyed it. And then we were on the ship one time, and I saw a hypnotherapist, and I was like, okay, this is bullshit. And people are doing all kind of stuff. They're just sitting there, and they're like sleep, and they sleep, they wake up. And all of a sudden there was a session where they said, come on in. If you're skeptical, sit down. And I sat down in there, and I let myself go, and it changed my life for good. For a few years, I felt a difference in whatever it was about, food and really, conditioning yourself not to eat a lot and things like that. And it was a great time for me because I wanted to lose weight then. So that was a perfect. And 5 years later, I had found very little need to eat a lot. I ate perfectly in the time, and I kept and maintained weight. So then I started talking about it to people. People were like, oh, wow, it is. So I've tried it again another time, but this time just to just enjoy and relax and have some, Zen. That worked. And when I had the opportunity to invite a hypnotherapist, and a great guy, we had a session, we talked about it. And then I said, come back and we'll do a live show. And we did. And it was amazing. And at this time we did it about positivity and really awesome. Like the power of, dude, I'm hyper. I was positive before that session. Forget about it. Now I'm going crazy. So that's my passion. But really, yeah. So what? Again, I'm kind of mumbling a little bit about the hypnotherapy piece, but that's what I know. I've seen it work. I know and understand it. As we transit into the realm of angels and energy beings and things like that. And again, from a religious, and I do want to, just out of respect to everybody's beliefs, we're not here going to talk about it, the negative in the world of angels, but we're going to talk about the positive that we possibly can. And to your point, a lot of people do believe in angels. I don't think there's a religion that doesn't believe in angels.
Yeah.
We all do. We have different definitions for them and maybe visualization of them and who they are and what they do. I personally believe there are, super beings that are created, in this world, and they do have functions. And that's just my personal opinion. I don't want to get into the religious aspect of it, but certainly we're going to talk about how that transits and how that works in your realm. And so let's do that then. I might as well get into it.
Well, I just love to hear that helped you so much, the hypnotherapy, because it's just changed. I mean, I did it professionally for a few years, and I helped so many people with it. I mean, it is very powerful, and you are correct. You were correct. It's the subconscious. I just blinked 5 times. Well, that takes about 5,000 operations for my subconscious to do. I don't have to think about it, and so it's in there. It's in there running the show, and so it is driving and determining how your life becomes. What's in there. I listen to a hypnosis recording every single day, every day. I never miss a day without listening to at least one, and I'll do it on different things. Whether I wake up in the morning, whether I wake up right before bed, I do not go a single day without having or hearing at least one, whether it's positivity, self-esteem, confidence, any of, I'll give a plug to a guy out there. Stephen G. Jones is his name. He's got a website that I just love him. I love how his approach. It's real, just like a conversation. And you just start, it's really helped me. And I've sent a lot of people there. I have a few recordings myself on my website that I've done. One of them is called Relax to Heal. And it's just reminding you how to let it all go and just relax. Everything in life is easier when you are relaxed, and healing comes from that. People tell me all the time different stuff. Hey, I don't have to use my albuterol for my asthma listening to your recording. Or I had indigestion all the time, and I listened to your recording, and it's not happening more. Well, the recording has all this intention built into it also. So it's hypnosis, but also angelic intention driven into the recording. And that's how I do the remote healing is it's intention and it's focus. So it's high power focus. So you kind of get into a state, you're very relaxed, and you start observing and seeing things change. And then with the angels, they do the work. That's also what I'm teaching in my class is, once you have the concepts of the quantum mechanics down and really kind of understand how all this stuff works, they pay attention to you. They will listen to you, and they'll listen to you anyhow. I just think that we have a better method of having them come in and help than I've seen out there. And I know there's a ton of angelic work out there. There's all kinds of stuff out there. But what I'm finding that they're really, really especially good for are destroying infections, wiping out different infections that we pick up through our lifetime and that drive a lot of dis-ease that no one talks about. Very few people talk about, where do these chronicities come from? Well, we're super microorganisms already. We're full of viruses, bacteria, fungi. We got all kinds of stuff in our blood, in our whole bodies. And so when we injure some site, say we twist an ankle in high school, those pathogens will move in there and set up shop, and they will stay there the rest of your life. And so now all of a sudden, oh yeah, I hurt my ankle in high school. It's, no one can fix it, blah, blah, blah. We fix those things instantly because it's usually a microorganism that's set up shop in the tissues that were inflamed. And so in the class I'm teaching, we go through all the different systems and all the possibilities of, what I've been finding for 25 years. And once you have that roadmap, you're pretty darn successful at helping people and animals, both. I think I got sidetracked a little bit. Oh, back to the angels for a moment.
Well, hold on. We're going to go back there. But so you did mention something about the pathogens, and they happen to be around us and within us, and everything around us is pretty much, somehow affected and infected. So what do you define the pathogen exactly in terms of the way you present them?
Well, there's viruses, nanobacteria.
Just the
Yeah.
standard, as we know,
Well,
biological
there's
speaking.
yeah, well,
Okay.
there's that, and then there's also cell wall deficient forms, which you probably never heard of. I didn't hear of
No.
them. I spent 2 years in college studying microorganisms in petri dishes, and when I found out about cell wall deficient forms, I just was like, oh my god, this is what's driving disease. And there's a book out there, a woman named Lita Matman, I think her name was. I'm pretty sure she's gone from the planet now, but she did. This book is amazing. It registers this huge, thick book, thousands of cell wall deficient forms. And she was a pretty cool little scientist. She would, go to a chicken with a knot on its knee and draw out some serum and inject it in the neck of another chicken. And sure enough, the fresh chicken would grow a knot on its knee. So she discovered all these different, they're called cell wall deficient forms. And you can ask just about any doctor, they'll tell you, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
So cell wall deficient.
Cell wall deficient forms. So these are pathogens that don't have a normal cell wall. So it's very difficult for your immune system to tag them and spot them and deal with them. And so a lot of times, I mean, the stuff in her book is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, it's totally boring to read. It's almost impossible to read it, but you can flip open any page and see some of the stuff that she's looked at. There's like, okay, here's a fungi showing up inside of a person that passed away from cancer. She's looked at tumors and found different viruses and different types of pathogens with these cell wall deficient forms in tumors and different in all kinds of different pathologies. So I think cell wall deficient form, we've polluted this place pretty darn good. We've destroyed our food. We've polluted the air, the water, the soil. And in doing so, we've set ourselves up for these things. And I find every single day, I'm treating these every single day in animals and in humans. And this is probably the crux of my class, teaching you how to get rid of these out of people or reduce the burden. If we just reduce, remember when you could sneeze on an airplane? and remember how it used to be you could cough, someplace public. Well, on an airplane, somebody would sneeze. Well, four people would catch a cold, not 300. Why those 4 people? Right. This is the thing I always ask. My question is always, well, why? My instructors in school hated me. They'd be like, oh, let's see, Dr. K, those hands up. You want to know why? We don't know why. The pathology book is that big, and 99% of it is idiopathic. So okay. What the hell is it? Why are you studying that? I mean, So back to burden for just a moment is so those 4 people on the plane, why did they get sick and not everybody? Well, because their burden was already high. If you have a high burden and then someone sneezes in the back of the plane and that virus goes through the circulation system, it finds those people who already have a high burden. So that's one of the things that we look at and we measure with this. Basically in my class, I teach you everything. I teach you how to measure, how to have a mechanism that you can start breaking down and looking at different parts of the body so that you can find out where these burdens are and have them reduced instantly. And then we can start looking at herbs to help continue that, going down that road. People always like, how the hell you're never sick? Me, I'm never sick. Well, I'm always rotating different antimicrobials through my diet. I'll look at my liver this month. I'll look at my kidneys next month, my urinary tract, my circulation, my neurology, my eyes, my bones, I'll go through different, like every 2 months, I'll do a different supplement that addresses one of these tissues. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've missed a day in the office. I don't even remember when, and so that's a big part of what it is that I teach is like, hey, we just got to keep our burdens down and disease goes away.
When you define burdens as in something that is a burden on you, like something that is wrong in your body, where there's a weakness.
Correct.
Okay. So,
yeah.
and then through your practice, you'll be able to identify those things. And ultimately, obviously, if you assess and identify it, it's very easy to remedy. You can certainly address it quickly based on with your technique and your, I guess, your angelic, version, approach, or your hypnotherapy approach, or and using all those frequencies and things like that. But we were talking about the pathogens and the impact of those in our bodies. And you're right. There's gut health. There's all these things, and we have bacteria. We have all the stuff that is existing within us, period and out. And sometimes you get the wrong ones in, and they mess up with you. And sometimes you need the good ones too, like probiotics and things like that, right? So you have all these things. Now, the people that come to you, or at least, we're going to talk about two aspects, and we're going to dive into the angelic piece. The first part is the healing and the clients that are really just seeking assistance to be better. Then you have the second part is that the people now, not only, some people are willing to learn to become healers. And then there are people that just by experience and feeling better through your stuff, they'll be, damn, I want this. How can I actually have a piece of the pie here and get into this business? And then you teach them, which is the course. And we want to go over that as well. So your 10-week, I think it's 10 week. Is that correct?
So what's 1 weekend? Just 1 weekend.
Oh, just 1 weekend. Okay.
3 days. Yep. 3 days. All you need. Yeah, all you need.
All right. So we'll talk about that and what that consists of and things like that. So for the ones that come to you, they can be anything. They can have any type of illness, I'm assuming. And this is going to be a question that's probably going to sound weird, but what kind of severity, you were able to help? I mean, some people have cancer, some people have different things. And it's funny, you talk about the sneezing and coughing. We're in the pandemic mode. So those are like real things now that you cannot do. Even if you're really choking, you try to hold it because people are going to like frown at you like, what the hell? Stop coughing my face. I'm choking, dude. But yeah, it's got a little weird these days, but we have to deal with it. But so intensity wise, you've had different levels of intensity and different levels of illnesses and ailments, and you were able to kind of really show and demonstrate results. So if you can just share with our audiences, like what would be that spectrum from like the lowest level of particular ailment to the highest and hardest and maybe the worst, diagnosis you were able to entertain?
Well, that's the tough one. Everything from arthritis. Well, just go to the alphabet. Everything from arthritis, to bunions. How hard it is to fix bunions. The people go in and get them operated on. It's so hard to fix bunions. We fix bunions that fast. Difficulty, spinal stenosis is one. Doctors don't want to see a spinal stenosis case because that freaks them out.
That's when the back is misshaped or misformed.
That's when the central canal is swollen, and so the nerves that come out of the central canal, you start losing loss of control of body function. Like I had a case, a spinal stenosis case, a few years ago now, and it was 85% occluded. So that's automatic surgery. He couldn't walk. He couldn't stand. He pretty much couldn't do anything. I mean, his life was pretty much over. So we turned that completely around in about 3 days. So that's a miracle. That's a miracle. I mean, you wanted the extreme. Most doctors, and even doctors listening to this, they don't want to see a spinal stenosis case because that's very difficult. It usually means surgery, and the outcome is
paralysis.
Terrible. Yeah. Horrible. Most back surgeries aren't, they don't tell you all the, they're not very successful. I just had a guy with a bilateral sciatic so bad he couldn't feel either one of his feet, and we dissolved that in one session, which is, it's another. These are miracles. I kind of I like the miracles. I mean, what can I say? I love to see things disappear, whether it's asthma, whether it's heartburn, whether it's heartache, or any of these things. I love to have these miracles happen because it just it's fun, and it just instantly changes people's lives. So there.
But Dr. T, but you're not using the religious aspect. You're using this from a scientific approach, right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes it very unique about your approach, because if we were talking to someone from a clergy, a faith-based, background, we will probably understand it from the religious aspect and healing and miracle. I know you refer to it as miracle, but there's science behind it. You go beyond just the obvious. Again, talking about quantum physics, talking about, the frequencies and on those kind of things. And it's a different, angle. it might be the same, by the way, because we all have different ways of interpreting, certain things. And if I'm religious enough, I'm going to look at it from a religious aspect, regardless of my religious background. But if I'm a scientist or Scientologist, I'm going to look at it from a science world and define it in any way. We can talk about the same thing. We talk about God in various religions, but we all have different views of God. Yet we all have a definition that almost winds up to be the same. But again, it's
Exactly.
just different angles. But the truth of the matter, we can all disagree on the topic, but at the end, we probably agree on the existence and the reality of things, right? And it sounds philosophical, but it is real. So now, and the reason I said this, because you referred to it as miracle, and no, miracle hearing sounds like, something that is far-fetched, or, it's like, a lot of people don't believe in miracles, but the facts are, science does exist. And sometimes you can correlate, it's not really, it's a scientific miracle. Maybe we can just, marry the two here and make it a lot easier for folks to comprehend it. But the fact is, it sounds very intriguing, right? So now let's go over, the angelic, realm that you refer to, at least that you're familiar now. And I do want to say this, and again, please just don't take this from me the wrong way, but you use the word angels, right? And that's how you define it in terms of your understanding or in terms of your practice. And again, is that really what we would, commonly know as angels, or is that just the concept of an angelic being or an angelic energy?
I think it's real. I mean, I think they're real. I think it's from what you understand about angels. I think that is what is doing this work. Absolutely. I'm sure of it. It has to be.
No.
I've tried to, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I know what I'm asking is more, I know they exist. I believe firmly. I mean, me personally, I do. But again, for the audiences, some people may say, well, you refer to it, it's a name, as such. It could be something different, just energy or something that you stumble into, but you choose to believe that that's the angel concept, or the angels, are the ones behind it. But, some people may have skeptics about that, particular definition. That's why I was asking. But I personally do believe in the existence of angels and their presence with us, every day. And they shelter us, they help us. There's all kind of functions. I mean, they run the universe technically, but that's just my, and believe me, I have a religious background, and I do relate to those things from religious and science at the same time. I understand them from both angles. But again, this is not about my opinion. This is about just your definition of it, because I just want people to be somewhat comfortable, because it gets a little touchy when you talk about God and angels, and it gets a little, like blasphemy, level. So I don't want people to get offended. I just want to make sure that we have an understanding about it. That's all. So yes, please go ahead, define it the way you want, the way you feel it, the way you understand it. But I just wanted to actually clarify that, everyone has a different way of defining, the angels, and we have different visual picture of them as well. So.
Well, I think that they're God's helpers, and
Yes.
and what I teach in my class, I teach you like there's all kinds of people. There's all kinds of people out there working with angels already. People are working with Archangel Michael and Gabriel, and so I've just made up my own rules, because there are not. Nobody owns them. No one knows how many there are. No one knows which ones are more powerful than not. And so we just kind of defined it ourselves. And we use three different groups, and they have very specific purposes. But these are sometimes I call them the lazy angels, because Gabriel and Michael, they're busy, man. This world, we got all kinds of problems in this world that they're taking care of. So we go after the ones who are hanging out on the side. Those are the ones that we're asking for help from. And of course, they are God's helpers. And that's kind of what their job is to help us with different things. And so we've just put it together in a manner that's really understandable, really simple. I'm not that smart. I'm good at taking big things and making them really easy. So we've taken a lot of quantum mechanics. We can talk about that for, like you said, the 10 weeks. We barely scratched the surface. But I've taken all of it and brought it down into something that's really small, really easy to understand. And once you do it, you start believing it, and then you get good at it really fast. I've also come up with a couple of proprietary methods through all my mind study, hypnosis, all these other things, to help expedite the process within people. I've tried to do this remotely. So far, I can't. So that's why you have to come to Prescott to do my darn class. But so far, I just can't do it unless it's a physical, energetic move that I do to your body to help bring you up to my speed. That's the goal, is to have everybody doing it better than me. And that's why we teach. That's why I'm teaching and stuff. I want people to be better than me. And, but the concept, that's kind of really the whole concept. I've no one owns them. No one's told us how many there are. Nobody really knows these answers. So we can call on any of them to help us at any moment in time. Angel of Mercy, help. I'm sick. I don't feel well. And we know some of the common names of them. And so you can call on them and they'll respond. But I think, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, doctor, I was just going to say, but again, some people may call that prayer, right? I mean,
absolutely. It is prayer. Are you kidding me? I pray every day.
All right, no. Again, I'm just saying, because again,
hey, I'm just really good at it.
well, listen, the truth of the matter is, everyone on this planet prays, and we have our own ways of praying, depending on what your, denomination, religious beliefs or non-beliefs. It doesn't matter. People pray, and we all kind of eventually turn to our creator or the creator, and we all want to ask for things, and health is one of them that we ask for and we wish for. But you're right. I mean, if you look at the major religions, they all have a similar concept about angels, and that to your point, they are the creation of God, and they do run the universe, for him. I mean, obviously with his permission and his authority, but and then they are made to also assist in this world in different ways. Now, we don't understand, most of us cannot even comprehend how they do it, because again, we are still stuck in the physical, and they're not physical. They're beyond our realm in a way, and so it's a little different. It's similarly, some people, the other part is some people can, there's the demons, there's this, that, and then we can get into the religious debate, and which is a whole different world. But the fact of the matter, you do use healing. You have methods, and you do almost summon energies. In this case, prayer or request from the angelic realm. And I'm just trying to kind of ease it up in a way to break it down to.
Yeah, you got it. You're right on it. Yeah, you're right on it. And probably the only additional thing is just this idea of intention, using intention, having a clear, something very clear that you want done. And again, once you have all the mechanical pieces of like how it actually can happen, it just happens. It happens right away. Every single person who take my classes, I think we've had about 60 people through them now. Everybody is able to do it. So it's not like I'm better or you have some secret talent. Everybody can do it. And so that's been really very rewarding to put something together that can be replicated, and right in front of us, right in front of you,
So doctor, where was that almost discovery of this connection that happened? Because you started with hypnotherapy, and there's obviously an ultimate moment where you kind of made the connection and became able to summon, or at least utilize, their power.
Well, there was a lot of things that happened to me in my practice that slowly started pushing me over and pushing me in that direction. I always studied the more ethereal techniques that were out there. I studied with all kinds of everybody, shamans, everybody who was doing something kind of different. And well, let me back up really quick. When I was 13, I got shocked on the farm. I was cutting a giant piece of steel, and I went to move the ground, and it was misty out that day. And it lit me up. I was sure I was. I mean, the first thought in my mind was, well, you're done, because my gloves were open, and it was shocking me. And I like, it felt like a hand. I couldn't really see it, but something knocked me. And and back then we had like 80-foot long cords for the welders to work on tractors and equipment. And so it knocked me clear across the machine shed. And I drifted up out of my body. And I look down at my body, and here I'm lying, I'm floating up. I'm going, what the hell is going on? I'm a little kid, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it's all doctors standing around me, all standing there looking at me on a table, shaking their head. And then this super bright light comes in, and it was a woman's voice. And it was like, excuse me, boys. And they all kind of looked up at the same time. We're like, nope, there's nothing you can, it's too late. There's nothing's happening here. And she said, stand back, everybody. And boom, boom, right back in my body I go. And I'm just like, what the hell was, I had no idea I had nobody even talked to about it. I mean, I literally was like, what the hell was that? I got up and I was smoking from the shock. And so, that was my first experience with an angel. And not that I didn't have a conversation or nothing, but that was an experience. And who knows, it was my mind made it all up. I mean, I was raised Catholic from a little kid. I played organ in a church, so I was always around the church. And so I was always looking at the angels that were inside the church and things. But I just assumed my mind made it all up, because I was just too, I just didn't know what was happening, And then I've had a couple other experiences in life where it's like, okay, like you said, sometimes you pray because, you could, there's times when, different vehicle accidents and different things that have happened that could have turned out differently for me. So fast forward all these years later to about 20 years ago, I'm in my house in Los Angeles, and I just moved in the day before. So it was I didn't have a bathroom in my office yet. And this woman knocks on the front door, and I open up the gate, and she's like, hey, I'm here for a treatment. And I'm like, here for a treatment? How the hell did you even find me? Who gave you my number? She said, oh, I've just been walking up and down the street here. I go, okay, come on in. And so I treated her a couple of times, and she had a young son who she wanted to get in, and she had two sons. She had one was an asshole and one was a saint. And she said, I'm going to bring the asshole in first and see how you do with him, and then I'll bring you the saint. And so we helped the jerk, and he was kind of a jerk. She was right. And then it was the morning the saint was supposed to come in. Well, he got killed on the way home in an auto accident. And he showed up in mom's house and told her that he was dead, that he got killed on the way home from an ambulance ran a red light and killed him, and that he was still with her. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. This is unbelievable. I'm just so sorry. I mean, I was just, shocked. She was gray as a ghost, and for the life of me, I can't remember her name these days. But so she comes in, and she's like, yeah, well, he's still with me. He's talking to me right now. So, well, that's amazing. She says, yeah, he tells me you don't believe him. You don't believe me. I said, oh, no, I believe you. I've just never known anybody whose dead son was able to communicate with him before. And she says, well, he wants you to know that you have such and such and such and such item in your basement underneath. I got to put this in my book, so I don't want to spoil my book. But she tells me something he picked the one thing that nobody knew about in my basement underneath a bunch of boxes. I said, okay, what does he want me to know? He got my attention there. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I couldn't believe I couldn't believe that came out of her mouth. And she says, well, he wants you to know that angels have been following you around for a long time. They brought you here. That's how you got this house. And the house, it is how I got the house. I was a second offer in on the house. The first offer bailed out once he saw how bad the house was, falling apart. I'm kind of I do a lot of everything. I'm a carpenter. I'm an auto mechanic. I'm a little bit of everything. So it wasn't a problem for me to buy this house, but he continued. She just said, yeah, he tells me they're flying around this house. They're just looping around here, and all the disease and all the negative energies that you're working with are being sent off into this backyard. Well, here I'm in the middle of Los Angeles, 5 million people, I think, in the basin. And I get this house. It's got 35 acres as my backyard. And he explained that the angels brought me here because of nature in the middle of the city. You're able to help diffuse the energy out through this all this open land. It wasn't my acres. It was like a wildland preserve. but so this was like 20 years ago that this happened. And so I was like, well, shit, how do I do it? I mean, I come into my office. I'm like, oh, I'm hoping. I'd love to. It's great to know they're there. How the hell do I use them? And so fast forward, maybe 10 years, probably about 15 years ago now, a client came in, and she's been a client for a long time. And she says, well, you got to just, you just got to just bring the angels in for me. I mean, I know you're doing all this great stuff. Just ask the angels to come in and help us. And I mean, I still can't believe it to this day. Everything she had going on disappeared. She had a weird burning sensation nobody could figure out. It was from her mouth to her tail, and it disappeared on the spot. So that's how I just started. That's when I started. I just started asking them for everything. Every single time somebody come in, I'd do all my other stuff I would do on somebody, and then I'd be like, okay, get up, go for a walk, see how that is, and they'd move around, they come back, it's still pretty bad, still 80% there. And I'd bring the angels in, and I'd walk out and tell my wife, oh my God, I can't believe it. Another miracle. So I did this for about 6 months, and finally she turned around one day and said, would you just shut up already? It's happening. It's real. Just go in there and do it. God, just shut up. I don't want to hear it anymore.
But doctor, listen, I mean, I'm sure people are watching right now, listening, and they'll be like, skeptical people exist, right? And it's not so much that the skeptic about the existence of angels, it's more about the connection human to angels, or the ability to almost utilize them and use them for service. I mean, technically, they're not supposed to serve us; they're sort of serving a higher purpose, right? In any realm of religion, that's how we perceive, the concept of angels. But people will. You're right. I mean, when the lady comes into your door and says, my dead son is here with me, you'll probably be like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm sure everybody listening will probably agree with me that would be a little like, you've seen too many movies or something is off, right? Yeah. But you were there. None of us listening, watching, were there, experienced it, and we all have a unique experience of our own lives that we somehow don't even have an explanation as to. And you could be walking and something happens, you push out, and you see it on social media these days. You see things that you don't understand, like, they show a car floating, a guy in between two cars, and nothing happens to him or her, and they just walk right out. And we say an angel is looking out, after us and over us and protecting us. And we define it that way, but there's some reality to that people would agree to. But there are some people that say, what, I don't believe any of this. This is like some hocus pocus business, So they, and that's okay. People have the right to believe whatever they want, and they have different extremes. The only way that people can really get back into the reality of things is by experience, by seeing it, as you said earlier. Seeing is believing. You have someone physically that the doctors may not be able to serve. And by the way, this is real, and in a lot of cultures is very real. And you have people, and some people discuss it in the realm of angels, some people of the realm of demons. But there are beings and there's energies out there that we don't understand the least of them, or about them. And you're right. I mean, there are people, things that happen to them that no one can understand, and there are healing, I guess, and protections that can be done through religious, practices, or medicinal, or to your point, telepathy, and many other ways, right? And so the reason I'm saying this is because really, when you give the story about the first one and about the lady that came to your home, you have to question things, sometimes. And there's a point in your life where you said, this is real. Your wife said, this is real. Wake up. This is it. Make it work. But then no one taught you how to use them or how to communicate with them. That's the next level, piece, or the next question. How did you really start kind of, at a fingertip, split second, like, I need your help, and voila, it's happening. That's going to be the biggest question after this.
well, I've developed a method of assessment. That's the hardest part, is assessing what's going on. So what's happening in your body, for example. And so, you come to me, you say, hey, I have low back pain. So then I start looking, and how am I looking? What I'm doing is I'm accessing consciousness to get answers. And then once I have the answer, then I use the angels to do the work. So consciousness, now we're back to quantum mechanics. We're back to morphic fields. We're back into that realm where, I don't know if you're familiar with morphogenic fields. It's a theory by Rupert Sheldrake. Has a bunch of books on it, and they're very difficult to read, but it explains how we're able to do this from a distance. Doesn't matter where you're at in the world. It gives you concrete theory of how this works, because we are influencing that field. And within that field, I'm able to do an assessment And once okay, that's probably this, and I get a clear idea that, okay, this is, I'll just give an example, say depression. Somebody lifelong. I mean, one of the things with this class and what I've done is we've leaped forward in time with healthcare. I mean, we're doing stuff that they aren't even thinking about yet. Depression, for example, I find it's a pathogen, an intracellular pathogen that's poisoning the brain. And not all of it, but a large portion of people who have this have different emotional issues have pathogens that science just doesn't even know about yet. Where do they come from? Well, a lot of times it comes from family. It can go back generations, go back many generations. Toxins can go back many generations and be passed on to a newborn baby that then creates these problems later on in life. I find a ton of stuff. And of course, a lot of times they're like, oh, it's genetic. Oh, mom has this, genetic. It's genetic. Depression, oh, it's genetic. No, it's not. Was mom's mom depressed? Yeah. Was mom's mom depressed? Was mom, you find out, you go back, okay, everybody was depressed for a long time. Somebody along the line picked up the wrong pathogen, had too high of a burden, got the wrong pathogen. This guy with a spinal stenosis, he had pathogen inside his spine in the canal that was creating the inflammation. And you say this to most people, most doctors are just like, oh, that's lunacy, but they get better. So they can't, I'm not crazy, just a little wild.
Well, listen, great minds always been defined as wild, right? So at the end of the day, some of the craziest or the biggest discoveries were labeled as, those people were labeled as crazy, lunatic, or like blasphemous, whatever. And some of them even were executed for their theories that were not matching the world's agenda. So listen, science has its own way of defining things and figuring out the real world, and every day science changes. I mean, even like I was reading something today about just the how old the universe and the earth and all that stuff, and because of science, it's been changing over the years on how old this earth is. And it goes to billions of years to a few billions of years to millions. And and that's because science is finding new ways to kind of I guess measure those things, and we will continue. There's scientific methods, and again, quantum physics is only we're like the babies. I mean, it's a baby stage right now. It's like an infant in terms of how far we've gone into it. There's listen, I can tell you, I mean, I've studied few books and articles, and I do a lot of research when it comes to space and all this extra stuff that people may not even be interested in. And I know for a fact, even from a religious aspect, that I can even quote some stuff, but the fact that there's teleportation, it's feasible. I do believe that actually it can happen, and there is a way. We just haven't discovered the easy way to do it. I mean, who have known that you and I would be seeing each other 100 years ago, this would be like, oh my God,
right?
Here in Nicaragua, we're having a discussion right now. Forget about it, right? So teleportation. I mean, we can talk about even like beaming and time travel. All these things can be. I mean, you may not be able to time. I mean, very simple. You can't go back. It's linear. You can't go back in time, but you can certainly, travel forward. And we can experience it even today. A flight, that can goes out from probably some part in the Pacific and goes east and really travel back in. And it happened actually in this year, 2022 versus 2021. Some flights actually, started in 2022, wound up in 2021. Now that's just a weird way to look at time travel. But there's beyond that, and we don't even understand it. But is that a possibility? Yes. And we can, it's just a matter of when we can probably discover those things. And it's scientific, and it's, believe it or not, even corroborated by religion. And in some books of religious, background, you will find reference to these things as well. So it's not far-fetched to understand these things. It's just that it is too wild to comprehend. I think that's the problem. We are limited to what we know, and anything that is a little bit extreme, we tend to shy away from, because this is like not for me. This is like a bunch of nonsense, and like you're really losing, the trip. You're tripping here, So we don't want to obviously trip. We don't want to be labeled that way. But you're right. Any great discovery was probably labeled at a point or another as it's a crazy, idea. But yet everybody evolves with it eventually, and it becomes like, yeah, just a standard thing. We're doing it. So again, I just wanted to clarify that, because some people, it, may like, boy, this is like wild discussions. Listen, it's only wild as you see it, but it's okay. If you can comprehend it, great. If not, maybe something that may be related to, maybe it can spark something that you didn't understand before. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. And you can judge it your own way based on your own beliefs as well. It's all right.
Totally.
But
Totally.
you said you've gone into some stuff that even medicine can possibly not comprehend, because again, you're using something that is beyond physical. I mean, a lot of scientific evidence is based on, like, real stuff. You see it, it's tangible, you touch it. You can add it in equation. But some things, there's no equation to them. We haven't figured out the equation yet.
Well, that's also, I mean, the quantum mechanics explains why, the gold standard for testing, all of it's garbage. Sorry, but it's, you have people looking at it. The act of observation changes the outcome of an experiment. So you're studying a microphone, you're getting paid by RCA to study a microphone. I wonder if that's going to influence your ability to look at it from a neutral place. I think so. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, and that's the first caveat of quantum mechanics, is that the act of observation changes the outcome of an experiment. So that's why a lot of these things just, we're just doing stuff, we're discovering things all the time that just, they're just it's difficult to wrap your mind around a little bit. A lot of times people will come in, they'll have crazy bad knees or bad ankles, or arthritis in the entire body, and I'll be like, oh, it looks like you had a lot of antibiotics when you were a kid. And I'm like, how the hell you know that? Well, that's through the testing. Antibiotics are made from mold, and mold many times, many years later, will start growing in joints. No doctor knows any of that. None of them know it. And
well,
so
we can't generalize. I'm sure there may be some, but I mean,
I hope so. I wish. I just haven't found any yet.
Well, yeah, well, you're right. I mean, again, today we have this show with you. I mean, I didn't know about your existence in terms of your services until we connected, right? And and now we're sharing this, so people can, they'll probably be like, oh, this exists. And you'll find some people, they'll find it appealing, and oh, this is something I want to check out. And some people's like, whatever, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There is a way for everyone, right? Change his own. And if you find your way, go for it.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I just love to learn about everything. You never know what would be something that can change your life. And for me, that's actually a big deal. And it's important to actually see it on availability. I mean, it's there. You want it. It's like having all the tools and, take whatever you want. I'd rather have the tools in my shed than not have any.
I couldn't agree more. Yep. You're absolutely right. Knowledge is, the more you know, you never know what, just constantly opens you up to some of these other ideas and other observations that can happen to you. So I'm with you completely. We just keep finding these weird things that just, they're just odd. And it's like, well, what the heck, why was none of that in that giant pathology book that I studied for so many years? I mean, it's just like, okay, well, this is just another thing that we're probably a handful of people doing,
Well, doctor, I mean, listen, we think we know this universe well enough. We think we know even our Earth. And we have not even literally discovered everything on this Earth. And there are critics sometimes, like, we're looking at Mars and we're looking at other stuff, yet we haven't even discovered our Earth, specific. I mean, and in the oceans right now, they discover new species. Almost every year you have new discoveries and new, what is
Totally.
this? This is a new thing. And so, and it's okay. By the way, I am for the exploration of space and exploration of Earth. I mean, the more we know about our universe, the more we understand it, the more we can actually make it to best use and good use, and hopefully help civilization and humanity. But you're right. We have not really, the knowledge we have, think about it, right? The last 50 years, 60 years tops is where we've seen the greatest expansion of knowledge and technology, and really real evolvement or evolution. I'm not going to call it evolution because that's a little bit of different meaning, but really it's a very quick, rapid pace of advancement, right? And I mean, now we have AI, we have all these things, now we have the metaverse and all these things, and augmented reality and technologies that get you closer to something that you cannot even comprehend a few years back. I mean, in the 1990s, you had box TVs
Right.
that you have to literally turn knobs for. I mean, the
Yep.
dial-up, on the internet was like, 5 minutes before you can get a connection. So it's moving so fast. It's not even, it's crazy. And then like some new degenerate, like you mentioned cassette tape earlier. I mean, you the next time we talk about 8 tracks, maybe.
I know.
But that's how it was not too far back where we had those things, and yet we're like way far from there. Now we're talking about very like, terabytes of data that is in your at your fingertips, with a press a button. You have the cloud, it's just a different world we live in. So you're right. As we are progressing, whether it's medicine or even religious, maybe religious is a little different because it's confined by certain rules and regulations. But in science, there's no limit. People are just kind of discovering on and taking every discovery to the next level and the next level, and everybody is researching on the previous research and finding new outcomes and new results, and it becomes the new definition of things, so it's constant. So again, for me personally, your way of looking at things could be very, very, very legitimate, and I believe in it based on you doing it. I believe in it. Bottom line, meaning you have results, you can prove them. Whatever it is, however you're doing it, to me, it doesn't matter. The fact is that you're doing it and it's working. That's all that matters. We can call it whatever. I may just call it something different, but it's still the end result is what counts. And I think sometimes that's what we have to really focus on. Not so much the detail, but the outcome. If we all focus on positive outcomes and results, we will not worry about the little things, right? And that's the thing. We sweat things that don't matter anymore, or like we debate, how is he doing it? What's that matter? Whether I do it, from a scientific, a religious, I don't know, an exorcist, system, it doesn't matter. It works, fine. Hypnotherapy works, fine. There are ways, and I think that's where we need to just be aware of, at least open to. And again, like I said, we didn't know about your services. Now we know. Many people around the world are going to listen to this podcast and watch the show or listen to it on the radio, and they'll be like, wow. And again, like everything else, you're going to have some pros like, yeah, we love this. And some like, ooh, forget about it. But that's okay. You guys have, it's called freedom of choice, freedom of information. Take what you can, what you want, use it as you wish. And that's the bottom line. But there will be people that can benefit from it, and that's the bottom line. So, I do mumble sometimes, but I think this is a very interesting topic because it goes beyond the realm of the normal, and when anything goes beyond normal, and normal is just it's really not what it is. It's just what's normal for you may not be normal for me. Sometimes we use that as a standard, but it's not really, anybody can have a different normal. Based on how they see the world themselves. So really, normal for you is normal for you, but it may not be for me, and vice versa. At the end of the day, it is a normal, one of many normals. Pick one. As long as it makes sense for you, go for it, baby. All right. So we understand the concept. We understand that you had a connection, it happened, and you started using it. Now it's a matter of just the practice, and you're using it, day in, day out. Using it with clients, but now you took it to the next level where you're healing people and also teaching them how to heal themselves and heal others. Now, does that mean that people can actually practice your form and your style and your techniques and become their own independent, I guess, healers?
Absolutely. Because what I teach, I do teach something in class that's physical. It's a physical roadmap that you do on somebody physically in front of you. I do teach that. So you do some touching on the human body, but the crux of it, the biggest crux of it is I'm teaching you how to do remote healing. So it's anybody, anywhere, anytime in the planet. So there's a physical roadmap that we go through, because I like to, if someone's in front of me, I like to know what organ is deficient, what part of the body is not working as well as it could. And so I do teach that in the class, but the primary focus is remote healing. And so, because how do you license that? So you can be, we have housewives doing it, and no one can really say anything because you can't license it, So, and we have a few people who are building their own practice, from the class that we taught. And there's no way to really stop them. I mean, all they're doing is helping people.
Well, listen, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
so how does someone, become learn from you? How can someone register, for example, for a course?
Oh, it's on the website, A Human Engineer. A is an Adam, humanengineer.com. There's a ton of stuff on there. We hired this. That's why I'm seeing you. Is we hired this great team to get me on podcasts and upgrade the website. And so the website has the class on it. It has I do these programs also. We're getting ready to have one here in another month, I think. And so the program is whatever it's called Crazy Unknown Shift. And so it doesn't matter what you have. You can do the program, and it's four treatments over the course of a month, 4 1-hour treatments, and they're group treatments. So it's like 20 people on Zoom. So it's pretty amazing. We did some group stuff a few years ago. We just couldn't keep up with the volume. We were so overwhelmed, just me and my partner. But that's really exciting to have. It gives people an opportunity if they're like, oh, I don't want to do the training. I don't want to see me. It's hard to see me one-on-one. I'm full of, it's really hard to get in. I mean, I don't even know how long it is, if you can even do that anymore. So it is a method, a manner of getting exposed to this work is through this program. So again, it's 4 1-hour sessions over the course of a month. And it's called Crazy Unknown Shift for a reason. It's anything odd going on. I just bring them in, let them do their work, and they know what to do. So many times somebody will say, hey, I hurt my ankle. Can you work on it? And I'll work on it. And then I'll finally talk to them and say, hey, yeah, how was which one was it, by the way? And they'll be, oh, it was my left ankle. I said, well, you told me it was your right ankle. Well, it doesn't matter. It went away anyhow. So, the angels know what they already know what to do. All we have to do is have the knowledge and the assessment. Then we can direct them and tell them what we want done. How the hell did I get here? I'm sorry. I think I jumped off track a bit.
No. It's good. No, we're talking about the course and how can people get into the course.
Yeah.
And how they can become independent, if they want.
Well, the course is 3 days in later March. There's a bunch of testimonials, I think, on the website now. It's absolutely. I mean, I had a doctor there. He's a 45-year doctor. This last one. And he just wouldn't leave me alone. He kept pulling me aside. Oh, the hell did you come up with all that? This is amazing. I just can't. I mean, I've known him for years, but he just wouldn't stop, hounding me about what a great course it was. So that was really gratifying. It was really gratifying from him. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, that's really warmed my heart, because I'm a really good teacher. I'm really good at taking big, complex stuff and making it simple. And then I did this all in school, a lot of classes, like neuroanatomy and some of these other classes like that I'd never taken before, but I would TA for the class. So I would learn it and teach it. And, it's just like a natural talent. There's some people are good teachers and some just aren't. And I'm a good teacher, and I've put together this thing in a manner that is really understandable. And it's really exciting to offer it after, being in practice now 25 years. I think I've been doing this almost 30 years now. So it's exciting to pass it on. Yeah. It's exciting to pass this on.
Now you're available ultimately remotely, but primarily all around the world. Anyone can actually register for this program. And then
they would have to come. They have to come to Prescott, Arizona for this class. Unfortunately, I keep trying. I keep experimenting on doing this, because this download it's an amazing thing. It's an energy comes out. All these energies come out of your hands. I figured out a certain energy comes out of a hand that opens up a certain part of your mind. And I know it's a little weird, but it's like a code. I'm able to take that and plug it right in, and you take right off right away. It's kind of like a Spock mind meld from Star Trek. Remember, he's like, ah! Except this is real. Yeah, this is a real, and this is there's certain energies that come out of your cranium, and so that's when I finally had that piece, I was like, okay, I'm ready to teach, because it's hard to get you up to my speed without a ton of practice. But I figured that out. I figured that piece out. And it happened. It was a miracle how it happened, how I come across that information that helped me figure it out. It's amazing. You look at some of these things that happen in your life, and you're just, it's miraculous. Some of these things are, that was a miracle. And I think it's important that when we have those miracles, that we give them a second and acknowledge them for a second. Okay, that was a miracle. And I know that was a miracle, because when you seeing is believing. And when you see one, you have one, you're going to start having more of them. More and more they just start happening more often. And it's the same as observation. Like for me, clinically, I remember for years, I was like, God, I wish I would learn something. What the hell's going on? I've never come up with any new observations. What the hell's going on here? And I tracked down this doctor I studied with years ago, and I said, hey, Dr. Loomis, how the hell did you come up with some of this stuff? And he says, well, son, if you, he says, how did he put it? He says, well, son, if you're right all the time, you never learn a thing. And I said, well, son of a bitch, I should know a whole bunch.
Well, that is true, though. That is a fact.
Yeah, the more you're wrong, the more there is to learn in there somewhere. So he left me with that. I thought that was kind of funny.
No, that's actually a very deep, advice. And it's reality, because sometimes if you want to learn, you got to just, you want to learn, you got to learn. You got to keep, keep some empty space in there.
I remember very clearly a couple of these observations that have come in, like I remember my first one very clearly. It was, I don't know, 20 years ago now. And so I've had many since then, and I had one the other day. I still can't wrap my mind around it. I've been, and it's kind of a long, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but it doesn't matter. I got on my computer and it showed me something within DNA structure that I had never heard of before. And so I've been incorporating that into my practice, and it's been very powerful for a lot of different dis-ease that's going on right now. So but literally I opened up my computer and bing, Google popped up with this information. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. This is genius. So, but I've seen enough and I've believed enough that they tend to happen more.
Well, it manifests. I mean, you're right.
It manifests. Yeah.
The more you think positivity, the more you see positive outcome. The more you see you have negative thoughts, your thoughts become reality. As long as you're, that's psychology 101, and it is real. And I mean, I experience it, and I know a lot of people do believe in that. And yes, if you see everything, the world is a bad place, everything you're going to see is bad. If you think the world is a great place, and you're going to find a lot of good in it. And yes, there's both sides. There's a good and bad, but it's just what you're looking for is what you're going to find.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
It's all that. So let me ask you a question. I know you're referred to as the human engineer, but also there's something that you do, which is a healing blast. What is that?
That's like I do that for clients who have been my clients for some time, and that is if they have an emergency, they can go to my website and plug in an emergency tuning, is what we call it, the tuning, and I do the work, and I send them a note on email. Hey, I took care of that. I hope you feel better. They always do. So it's a way for me to do a quick treatment on you if you think you're getting sick, or think you got to go to the hospital and you don't. So that's what that is. And we've actually had people on the cot going into an operating room for appendicitis style stuff and get up and walk off and get up and walk out. Yes, we've had a couple of those.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so we do it for animals also. So I do a lot of stuff with animals with the tunings requests. But this program we have coming out, this crazy unknown shift, this is a way for people. I think it's like $550, something like that. And it's four sessions. You just happen to be with other people on Zoom. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have your video up, but I find out everything that's going on in everybody. And it's absolutely fascinating, because again, the angels know what to do. They know what to fix. Sometimes I'll be a little more specific on certain people. Say somebody with floaters, hey, I got floaters in one eye. Sometimes I'll have to be more specific and narrow down that focus for that. But it's really quite amazing, everybody has something, right? It seems like everybody's got something, right? I mean,
I think I have a lot of stuff wrong.
I think you should come and do my class. I think you should be in my class.
Oh boy, did you discover something, dude? Don't tell me.
Don't
Tell me. Don't tell me. Yet, off the air. Off the air.
Yeah.
Well. I mean, listen. It sounds intriguing, man. I'm intrigued here. But definitely the concept that you can kind of almost send somebody a frequency or some sort of I guess a treat, and then they're really resolving their issues on the other side. That is just the premise of thinking about that. It is very extreme in terms of the normal thinking, but yet here we are. It is, you're doing it, and people can testify to it. So hey, and by the way, I think you do have testimonies on your site, so people can actually, because these days it's all about reviews and testimonies, and is this a hoax? Is this real?
I think there's a lot of them up there for remote healing. I think there's a lot of them up there. I don't even know my own stuff. I don't look at any of it, but I think there's a lot of them with the remote healing up there. And there's a lot of people out there doing telemedicine, and they're remote this and remote that, and they're reading it. But this is instantaneous healing. What we're doing is I want to see it happen right now. And it's, it's super tangible. It's like, oh, you got a bad leg? Oh, get up and walk on it. How's it feeling now? It's 80% better. Okay, well, we got some more to do. Let me look here. Let me look there. I'll look closer at the insertions, because I'm looking, your morphic field, my morphic field, we're connected. We're connected through consciousness. We're connected through morphic fields. Because I have a tiny little bit of intelligence, not knowledge, because I have knowledge. I have knowledge of the human body, how it works, and I'm able to tell your mind, hey, let's go fix that. Let's go fix that. Oh, wait a minute, it's a pathogen. Let's bring the angels in and wipe it all out. And so, so there's a number of different methods, but it goes back to that intention. Obviously I have to have confidence, belief. I want to help. That's what I'm on this planet for. So I have desire, and then having that confidence, that signal, you will stop, having an allergy to a peanut because it's safe. There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, it's funny because we're really, on the edge of the hour here. We passed the hour.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's exciting stuff. But you did mention something early on about, like, you've learned through a lot of different, practices, shamans and all this stuff. And to be honest with you, these are things that have been reported in civilizations before. Practices that have been, used in a lot of different cultures. And I know for them in Native, Americans, they do have a lot of these practices, and, and they do believe in those things. And I mean, they refer to spirits and things like that. So again, who do we refer to could be just the name, but at the end of the day, it could be the same thing. We just don't have the same definition for it. But these are some practices that a lot of people may have had access to, because I know there's people that actually do certain, prayers and do certain things, and they touch you, and then you do feel like, oh my God. We've seen these even in religious, realms where in churches and stuff like that, there's some, there's different reference to it, but they do use, those speed up healings. And so there's, in all religions, actually, I think there's some sort of a healing form that has to do with that prayer and touching and healing. So it is amazing that it's shared on some denominator, but it's just practiced differently based on different beliefs and systems. But at the end of the day, we can't deny it doesn't exist, because I think in every religion and every belief, there is some of it available. I think the only way it's not available is the standard science, and medicine, because it follows a different system. But then if you can match it out between that, to your point, spirit, mind, and body, and all that, together, then it gets a little bit off the science, and it uses science to a degree, but there's beyond science. And I think that's where the angle is here. So again, I don't see anything, crazy about it. I think everything is possible in this world with belief and just research and really, there's things that we don't comprehend, and we probably will not comprehend until another, millennial. So it is what it is. Well, listen, are there any last words that, that you want to share with the audiences or guidances that you want to, give to our listeners and viewers right now?
Oh, I think whatever you're doing in life, make it fun. Make it fun.
I love that.
Fun changes the vibration of everything. It creates joy. Look at you, you're here working and you're having, we're both having fun, and you can feel that vibration of fun and joy. And so, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. People are always like, oh, you're a doctor. Yeah, well, I used to shovel shit for a living. So even when I shoveled shit, I made it fun.
Well, listen, you're right. It's how it's again, mindset, how you look at things and how you really get what what you believe in. You got to believe everything is happiness and fun, and you'll get that. And you believe otherwise, it's just going to stress you out, and you're going to see exactly the wrong outcomes of everything. That's a great advice, and I think our audiences will enjoy it, will cherish it, and let's use it. Let's be happy. Let's
just love. Love is the most important thing in life, and right behind love is this: just have fun, just bring some joy to the table. And so for me, that's what I think is love is number one, but number two, right behind it, is joy and fun, because that just puts a smile on people's faces. And I love that about Nicaragua. People love to laugh down here. They're a real joyous culture. And so thank you for what you're doing. I mean, I just got a peek at it. I didn't see. I'm going to dig into it deeper tonight here, but thank you for doing what you're doing and spreading this information out there.
Well, thank you. I mean, it is my pleasure. And again, the mission here is to share the resources and the new things that people may or may not know about. But at the end of the day, it's, the more we put out there, the more people can have access to things that they may not have had access to otherwise. So it's all fun. And again, I'm having fun.
Yeah,
that's really the bottom line to it. And I enjoy it. And you know what? There's a rewarding sensation or feeling when you're helping people while you're having fun. There's nothing wrong with that. And I just feel that it's a great, mission and I'm enjoying every moment of it. So thank you for that.
Nothing like it. No.
And well, Doc, thank you very much for the time. And we spent almost an hour and a half, covered a lot of ground. I know that was quick. It's never a dull moment here on the channel.
Yeah,
so we have
awesome.
fun. But really, thank you for the time. And I guess we'll forward. I'll put the information on the site in the description of the show so people can see it. And
awesome.
Hopefully they can reach out and learn more about your services. And let's see what comes out of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
All fun, man. All fun. Folks, thank you for watching the iHealth channel, the FitnessFab channel, and listening on iHealth Radio. Your host, Hurricane H here. Thank you for watching again. We'll talk soon. Next show, next topic, next guest. Bye for now.